Westport Rivers, you know, you wouldn't think of a winery in Massachusetts as, you wouldn't be, you know, kind of picking that off your list, but the thing about Westport Rivers and why it's important to Esther and I is actually the place where I asked her to marry me. So I had my sister kind of hiding out off into the distance. She's a photographer as well, so to be able to capture those moments. So
at the 200 millimeter.
yeah. So she was able to take those pictures, and I kept it a secret from Esther that we had those, you know, because we were off by ourselves, totally alone, and it was obviously a special moment, and I was able to present those pictures to her the day that we were married. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was. We wanted to kind of have those places and those moments somewhere close to us that we can kind of go there and relive it. Pictures are nice, but to actually be able to go back to Westport Rivers and Saltwater Farm where we're married is a pretty special thing for us.
So now, tell us a little background about yourself. Like, how, you know,
Sure.
where was your, you know, aha moment where you're like, I want to brew. I want to, you know.
Yeah, I think as a kid, I've always been somebody, I always wanted to cook, and I always wanted to make, and I always wanted to do something for others to enjoy. So I took kind of foods classes in high school, and was seriously considering going to Johnson & Wales. And then I kind of found out what a chef's life is, and that kind of to me meant it was going to be very difficult to have a family, and it was going to be difficult to participate in what I thought were life's most important events with my family. So kind of crossed that off the list, but kind of that intention, that desire to make something for others always stuck with me. I went on to study biology and biochemistry and got a career in the clinical research world, and it was doing great, super engaging, really interesting, very stimulating. But that kind of creativity piece was absolutely not there, you know. Mm-hmm. And that hospitality element and that providing for others, it wasn't there. So all right along, I'd been making food and kind of, you know, go down the rabbit hole on whatever dish, and then got super into making ice cream, and then I got super into making cider, and it's like the same story that all brewers tell. Oh, my wife's my mother-in-law, my wife's mom bought me a winemaking kit.
Yeah.
And then I just went off the deep end, as most brewers who eventually go on to open up their own place do. So really no practical experience. A full-time job, and every brewery that I said, hey, can I come volunteer? They all turned me down. At the time I was confused as to why that might be, but now I understand. Breweries are businesses first, and they don't have time to have folks come in and to just teach people on their time. We operate on a normal schedule. So
yeah, it usually starts with cleaning kegs. Yeah, sure. Go clean all those kegs.
And also, it's not legal to have volunteers either. So that was another thing I didn't appreciate at the time. So
do you remember that first, I guess, wine or beer that you made that was like, oh wow, I actually did it?
Yeah, I mean, so the first batch of beer, I'm glad I picked the first style that I did pick, because it was very forgiving. It was an oatmeal stout, and the slightly warmer than it was not a controlled fermentation, which is incredibly important for most styles of beer. So, and I made it in the winter time, so the temperatures never got really warm, and the roasted grain and the extended ball conditioning time really turned into something that was as good as I could have possibly expected. And the notion that I could make something that was as good as I could go down to the public house or go to the bottle shop and buy myself was really energizing.
You know, for our viewers and everything who who don't know about Trillium, you guys have this. What you're going for is this farmhouse to right in your glass. And when I got here today, you were, you know, down in the garden here, snipping stuff and doing everything. Like talk to me a little bit about that and what it is, you know, the whole, you know, I guess philosophy behind Trillium and what it is you're going for.
Yeah, Trillium was envisioned to be a modern New England farmhouse brewery. And when I wrote those words down, I didn't really understand what that meant necessarily, other than just some sort of overly romantic view of what a farmhouse brewery might be. And over the years, I've started to understand a little bit more about what it takes to run a farm or even start a farm after starting a brewery. So the notion that we can get the best possible ingredient, we can have that direct connection to the land, to the farmer, to the brewer, to the chef in the kitchen, and then eventually to our customers and to our guests. We were talking before about how when you were a kid and eating tomatoes that your grandfather would grow purposefully and would harvest them right when they were ready.
Yeah.
And it just has that sensory memory. It's like, that's the best it could ever possibly be.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of that optimizing and kind of that those flavor sensory memories is a real possibility. Now layer on top of that the possibility of, not to get too down the rabbit hole on it, but it's sort of our opportunity to be a model for how we can practice regenerative agriculture as well, where we can be regenerative instead of extractive. We can give back to the land instead of just taking, and do it in a thoughtful way that is good for the land, makes the best possible food and ingredient, and which makes the best possible beer as well, and provides an environment for our team members that they couldn't be more satisfied and feeling that they're contributing to something a little bit bigger than themselves.